The transport ship moved slowly through the dark space around. Nexus Station 7, 12-year-old Jae-ho Kim pressed his face against the small window and watched the massive station grow larger. It looked like a giant metal city floating in. The stars, blue and red lights, blinked along its surface like tiny eyes watching them approach. "Look at that, Mom," Jae-ho said with excitement. "It's huge." His mother, Dr. Yujin, Kim, smiled and put her hand on his shoulder. "Yes, it is. This will be our home for the next 6 months while I do my research." Eugene was a xenobiologist, which meant she studied alien life forms. She had been invited to Nexus Station 7 to help understand some of the galaxy's most dangerous creatures. The station was known throughout the galaxy as the place where they kept the monsters that no one else could handle. As their ship docked with the station, Jae-ho could see other ships from different worlds. Some were long and thin like silver needles. Others were round and covered in strange symbols. A few ships looked like they were made from living metal that seemed to move and breathe. "Remember what I told you?" Yujin said as they gathered their bags. "This station is not like the research centers back on Earth. There are dangerous creatures here. You must always stay in the safe areas." Jae-ho nodded, but his eyes were already looking around with curiosity. He'd always loved learning about aliens and their worlds. The thought of being on a station full of the galaxy's most mysterious creatures made his heart beat faster with excitement. They walked through the docking bay where the air smelled different. It was clean but had a strange metallic taste. Gravity felt normal, which was good, because some stations had gravity that was too strong or too weak for humans. A tall figure approached them. It looked like a giant insect walking on 2 legs. Its body was covered in hard green plates, and it had 4 arms. 2 large black eyes sat on top of its head. When it spoke, its voice sounded like clicking sounds mixed with words. "Dr. Kim, welcome to Nexus Station 7. I am Commander Veltar of the Keth species. I will be your guide during your stay." Eugene bowed slightly. "Thank you, Commander. This is my son Jae-ho." Commander Veltar looked down at the boy with his big black eyes. "Young human, you must understand something very important. This station has 7 levels. Levels 1 through 3 are safe for all species. Level 4 is for researchers only. Levels 5 and 6 are restricted to authorized personnel with special equipment." The commander paused and his voice became more serious. "Level 7 is forbidden to everyone except the containment team. That is where we keep the Void Stalkers." Jae-ho had heard stories about Void Stalkers. They were massive, dragon-like creatures from the dark parts of space. People said they could destroy entire spaceships with their claws and breathe fire that could melt metal. Most species in the galaxy feared them more than any other creature. "What are Void Stalkers exactly?" Jae-ho asked. Commander Veltar made a clicking sound that might have been worry. "They are the apex predators of the galaxy, creatures of pure destruction. They have destroyed colonies, attacked trade routes, and killed thousands of beings. We have only managed to capture 3 of them in the last 100 years. Yujin put her hand on Jae-ho's shoulder again. "The commander is right. You must promise me you will stay on the safe levels." "I promise, Mom," Jae-ho said. But part of him was already wondering what these mysterious creatures really looked like. "Commander." Veltar led them through the station's corridors. The walls were made of some kind of white metal that seemed to glow with its own light. They passed many different alien species. Some looked like tall, thin trees with arms. Others were small and round with too many eyes. A few looked almost human but had different colored skin or extra limbs. The station houses researchers from 47 different species, Commander Veltar explained. "We work together to understand the most dangerous life forms in the galaxy. Your mother's expertise with predator behavior will be very valuable." They reached the residential section where humans and similar species lived. The rooms were designed to feel comfortable for beings who were used to planet-based life. There were windows that showed recorded images of Earth forests and oceans. The air had been adjusted to smell like home. "This will be your quarters," Commander Veltar said, opening a door to a small apartment. "Dr. Kim, your laboratory is on level 3. As a young human, There is a recreation area on level 2 where you can meet other children from different species. After Commander Veltar left, Jeho explored their new home. It had 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, and a living area with a large screen for entertainment. But what interested him most was the wall display that showed a map of the entire station. He studied the map carefully. Levels 1 through 3 were marked in green for safe areas. Level 4 was yellow for restricted access. Levels 5 and 6 were red for dangerous areas. But Level 7 was marked in black with warning symbols all around it. Section 9, he read quietly. Maximum security containment. Void stalker housing. His mother was busy unpacking and setting up her research equipment. She would be working long hours studying the creatures on the upper levels. Jeho knew he would have a lot of free time to explore. That evening, they ate dinner in the main cafeteria. It was a huge room full of beings from different worlds eating different types of food. Some ate things that looked like plants. Others ate what looked like rocks. A few ate things that moved around on their plates. Jeho met some other young beings, including a girl named HFY, who was there with her scientist father. She was 2 years older than Jeho and had been on the station for 3 months. You get used to it, she said, watching Jeho stare at an alien eating something that looked like purple mud. The weird part is how quiet Level 7 is. Quiet? I thought the Void Stalkers would be loud and scary. HFY shook her head. That's what makes them so creepy. They just sit there in their containment cells and watch. My dad says they're probably planning something, but no one knows what. That night, Jeho lay in bed, thinking about the mysterious creatures below. He had always been curious about things that other people feared. His mother said it was because he wanted to understand the world around him. But sometimes his curiosity got him into trouble. He looked at the wall display again. Level 7 was just 6 levels below where he was sleeping. There had to be a way to get down there and see what everyone was so afraid of as he drifted off. To sleep, Jeho made a decision. He was going to find a way to see the Void Stalkers for himself. What could be so dangerous about creatures that just sat quietly in their cells? He had no idea that this decision would change not just his life, but the fate of the entire galaxy. 3 days passed before Jeho found his chance. His mother Yujin had been working late hours in her laboratory studying the creatures on Level 4. She came home tired and went to bed early every night. This gave Jeho time to explore the station and learn about its daily routines. He discovered that Level 7 had a maintenance cycle every night at midnight. During this time, the automated systems would check all the containment fields and security measures. The regular guard shifts would change, leaving a 15-minute window when the corridors were less watched. Ho had also made friends with a young maintenance worker named Taman. Taman was 18 years old and worked on Levels 5 and 6. He was one of the few people who had actually seen the Void Stalkers up close. They are nothing like the stories say, Taman told him one afternoon while they ate lunch together. Everyone expects them to be roaring and attacking the containment fields all the time, but they just sit there and watch everything with those strange eyes. What do their eyes look like? Jeho asked. Tae-Min thought for a moment. Like stars burning in the darkness. Very bright, but also very old. Sometimes I think they understand more than we give them credit for. That night, Jeho waited until his mother was asleep, put on dark clothes and quietly left their quarters. Station was much different at night. The bright lights were dimmed to save energy. Most of the corridors were empty except for the occasional security patrol. He had memorized the route to Level 7 from studying the station maps. There were 3 elevator shafts that went down to the containment level. 2 of them required special access cards. But the third was used for maintenance and only needed a basic station pass. Jeho's heart was beating fast as he walked through the quiet corridors. He knew he was breaking the rules, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. He had to see what everyone was so afraid of. The elevator ride to Level 7 felt like it took forever. When the doors finally opened, Jeho stepped into a corridor that was completely different from the rest of the station. The walls were thick metal covered with warning signs in different alien languages. Red lights blinked along the ceiling, and he could hear a low humming sound coming from the containment systems. Section 9 was at the end of the corridor. Jeho walked slowly, reading the warning signs as he went. Most of them said things like authorized personnel only and extreme danger. But one sign caught his attention. It was written in simple galactic standard language, Specimen Kithra, captured from Abyss Sector, wounded but stable. The containment cell was massive. It was more like a small room with walls made of some kind of energy field that glowed with a blue light. Inside the cell, Jeho could see a creature that was both beautiful and terrifying. The Void Stalker, called Kethra, was about 30 feet long from nose to tail. Its body was covered in scales that looked like black glass. They reflected the light from the containment field, making the creature seem to shimmer in the darkness. It had 4 powerful legs, with claws that could probably tear through metal. Its head was large and dragon-like with a long neck and intelligent eyes. Those eyes were exactly like Taman had described. They burned like stars, but there was something else in them, something that looked almost like sadness. Jeho noticed that one of the creature's wings was bandaged. The wing was folded against its body, but he could see that it had been badly injured. The creature was lying on its side, and its breathing was slow and careful, like it was in pain. "You're hurt," Jeho said quietly. The Void Stalker's head turned toward him immediately. Those burning eyes focused on the boy, and for a moment, Jeho felt afraid. But then something strange happened. Instead of roaring or attacking the containment field, the creature just watched him with what looked like curiosity. Jeho moved closer to the containment field. "I'm not supposed to be here. Everyone says you're dangerous." Kethra made a low sound that was almost like a whistle. It wasn't threatening or angry. It sounded more like the creature was trying to communicate. "Are you trying to talk to me?" Jeho asked. The creature made the same sound again and moved its head in what might have been a nod. Jeho realized that this was not the mindless monster that everyone described. This was an intelligent being that was trapped and hurt. He looked around and saw a small feeding slot in the containment field. It was designed to allow food to be passed through without weakening the field. Jeho remembered that he had brought a sandwich from the cafeteria for a late-night snack. "Are you hungry?" he asked. Ka's eyes followed his movements as he took the sandwich from his bag. The creature made another soft whistling sound and moved its head closer to the feeding slot. Jeho broke the sandwich into small pieces and pushed them through the slot. Kethra's long neck extended toward the food, and he could see that the creature was being very careful not to make any sudden movements that might frighten him. "You're not scary at all," Jeho said. "You're just lonely." For the next hour, Jeho sat on the floor outside the containment cell and talked to Kethra about Earth, about his mother's work, and about how he had always wanted to explore the galaxy. The Void Stalker listened to every word, occasionally making soft sounds that seemed like responses. When it was time to go back to his quarters, Jeho stood up and looked at the injured creature. "I'll come back tomorrow if I can. I'll bring you more food." Kethra made a sound that was different from the others. It was deeper and more musical. Jeho thought it might be the creature's way of saying thank you. The next morning, Dr. Haywan Park, the station's lead researcher, made a surprising discovery. The Void Stalker in Section 9 had stopped its attempts to break through the containment field. For the first time since its capture, the creature was calm and seemed to be resting peacefully. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Park told Yujin during their morning meeting. "Kethra has been trying to escape every day for 6 months. Yesterday, it just stopped. We don't understand what changed." Eugene listened to the report while thinking about her son. Jeho had been unusually quiet at breakfast, and she had noticed that he seemed tired, like he hadn't slept well. "Could the creature be sick?" she asked. "All its vital signs are normal," Dr. Park replied. "If anything, it seems healthier than before, but its behavior is completely different." That evening, Jeho made his second trip to Level 7. This time he brought a full meal from the cafeteria and some pictures from Earth that he had downloaded to his tablet. Kethra was waiting near the feeding slot when he arrived. "I brought you dinner," Jeho said, sitting down in his usual spot outside the containment field as he fed the creature. He showed it the pictures of Earth's forests, oceans, and cities. Kethra seemed fascinated by the images. The creature made different sounds for different pictures, and Jeho began to understand that it was trying to ask questions. "This is where I'm from," he explained. It's called Earth. It's very far from here. The bond between the human boy and the alien predator was growing stronger. Neither of them knew that their friendship would soon change everything the galaxy. Thought it knew about void stalkers and the true nature of these mysterious creatures. 2 weeks had passed since Jeho started visiting Kethra. Every night he would sneak down to level 7 with food and stories. The void stalker had become much more active and seemed to look forward to their meetings. During the day, the research team noticed that Kethra was eating better and showing signs of healing. Dr. HFY Park was puzzled by the changes. She had been studying dangerous creatures for 20 years, but she had never seen anything like this before. Stalker was behaving in ways that went against everything they knew about the species. I want to install more monitoring equipment, she told Yujin during their daily meeting. Something is causing these behavioral changes, and I need to understand what it is. Yujin nodded but felt worried. She had begun to suspect that her son might be involved somehow. Jeho had been acting strange lately. He was tired during the day and seemed to know things about the station that he shouldn't know. That evening, Yujin decided to follow her son. She waited until he left their quarters and then quietly walked behind him through the corridors. She watched him take the maintenance elevator down to level 7 and knew her suspicions were correct. When Yujin reached Section 9, she found Jeho sitting outside the containment cell talking to Kethra like they were old friends. The Void Stalker was lying close to the energy field, listening to every word the boy said. Jeho, she called out. The boy jumped to his feet and turned around with a guilty expression. Mom, I can explain. You certainly will, Yujin said. But she wasn't angry. She was amazed. The creature that everyone feared was behaving gently around her son. How long has this been going on? 2 weeks, Jeho admitted. Mom, Kethra isn't what everyone thinks. She's smart and she's been trying to communicate with me. Yujin looked at the Void Stalker more carefully. The creature's eyes were focused on her and there was definitely intelligence there. What do you mean communicate? Jeho walked closer to the containment field. Watch this. Kethra, can you show my mother how you count? The Void Stalker made a series of soft whistling sounds. 1 whistle, then 2, then 3, then 4. Was clearly counting. She can also draw, Jeho said. Look at the floor of her cell. Yujin looked through the energy field and saw marks scratched into the metal floor. They weren't random scratches. They were symbols and patterns that looked almost like writing. My goodness, Yujin whispered. She's been trying to write to you. Think she's been trying to tell me about her home, Jeho said. Some of the drawings look like star maps. Yujin sat down next to her son. As a scientist, she was fascinated by what she was seeing. Have you learned anything else about her? She's not mean at all, Jeho said. I think she's scared and lonely. Her wing is hurt and she misses her family. Kethra made a low sound. That was different from her usual whistles. It was deeper and sadder. The creature moved closer to the energy field and looked directly at Yujin. I think she wants to tell you something, Jeho said. Over the next hour, Kethra used her claws to scratch new symbols into the floor. She would make a symbol, then make sounds, then look at Yujin and Jeho to see if they understood. Yujin began to recognize patterns in the symbols. Some of them looked like star formations. Others looked like creatures that might be other Void Stalkers. Doc, I think she's trying to show us her history, Yujin said. These symbols might be telling us about her people. The next morning, Yujin went to Dr. Park with an unusual request. I need to study the Void Stalker's behavior patterns more closely. I think we've been wrong about these creatures. Dr. Park looked surprised. Wrong in what way? I think they might be more intelligent than we realized. I want to run some tests to measure their cognitive abilities. Dr. Park agreed to the tests, but she insisted on following all safety protocols. She also wanted to know why Yujin was suddenly so interested in the Void Stalker's intelligence. That afternoon, Yujin and Jeho returned to Section 9 with Dr. Park and a team of researchers. They brought simple intelligence tests that had been designed for different alien species. Kethra was initially nervous about the new people, but she seemed to trust Yujin and Jeho. When they asked her to participate in the tests, she cooperated willingly. The results were shocking. Kethra scored higher on the intelligence test than most of the researchers had expected. She could solve problems, recognize patterns, and even perform simple mathematics. But the most surprising discovery came when they showed her star charts. Kethra became very excited when she saw the charts. She began making urgent whistling sounds and scratching symbols into the floor rapidly. Dr. Park realized that the creature was identifying star systems and marking specific locations. "She's showing us where she's from," Dr. Park said with amazement. "And look at this. She's also marking other locations. I think these might be places where other Void Stalkers live." Eugene studied the marks carefully. Some of these locations are near systems that have reported Void Stalker attacks. But others are in areas we thought were empty space. Dr. Park made copies of all the symbols and began comparing them to galactic databases. What she found changed everything they thought they knew about Void Stalkers. "These aren't random attack patterns," she told the research team the next day. "The locations that Kethra marked correspond to ancient ruins and abandoned colonies. I think Void Stalkers have been trying to reclaim territories that were once theirs." Yujin felt a chill as she realized what this meant. "Are you saying that Void Stalkers aren't just predators? They're refugees?" "It's possible," Dr. Park said. "What if they're not attacking colonies for food or territory? What if they're trying to go home?" Meanwhile, in the station's communication center, a priority message was being received from the Galactic Early Warning System. A large group of Void Stalkers had been detected moving through the Abyss sector. They were heading directly toward Nexus Station 7. Commander Veltar received the message and immediately called an emergency meeting. "We have at least 20 Void Stalkers approaching our position. They will arrive in approximately 36 hours. The station's defense systems were activated. All non-essential personnel were prepared for evacuation. The Galactic Fleet was contacted for emergency support." "Why are they coming here?" Dr. Park asked during the emergency briefing. Commander Veltar's voice was grim. "They're probably coming for the one we captured. Void Stalkers have never shown rescue behavior before, but we can't take any chances." Yujin and Jae-ho exchanged worried looks. They knew that Kethra had been trying to communicate something important about her people. Now it seemed like that communication might have been heard. "What will happen to Kethra?" Jae-ho asked. Commander Veltar made the clicking sound that indicated stress. "Protocol requires that we terminate any captured specimens if rescue attempts are made. We cannot risk the approaching pack using the captured one to coordinate an attack." "No," Jae-ho said firmly. "You can't hurt her. She's not dangerous." "Young human, you do not understand the threat we face," Commander Veltar replied. "When Void Stalkers attack in groups, they can destroy entire space stations." But Yujin was beginning to understand something that the others missed. What if they're not coming to attack? What if they're coming to rescue their family member? As the station prepared for battle, Jae-ho made a decision that would change everything. He was going to find a way to prove that Kethra and her people were not the monsters everyone believed them to be. The approaching Void Stalkers were not coming for war. They were coming for their lost sister, and Jae-ho was the only one who could help everyone understand the difference. The emergency alarms had been sounding for 6 hours. All around Nexus Station 7, alien crew members were preparing for what they believed would be a devastating attack. The approaching Void Stalker pack was now only 12 hours away from. The station commander Veltar stood in the command center watching the long-range sensors. 23 massive shapes were moving through space toward them. Each one was the size of a small battleship and moved with the deadly grace that made Void Stalkers the most feared predators in the galaxy. "Have the evacuation ships been prepared?" he asked his second-in-command. "Yes, sir. All non-essential personnel can be evacuated within 4 hours if needed." "And the termination of the captured specimen, scheduled for execution in 2 hours?" "The containment team is standing by." In Section 9, Jae-ho sat outside Kethra's cell with tears in his eyes. His mother Yujin and Dr. Park were with him, but none of them could stop what was about to happen. The station's protocol was clear when Void Stalkers approached in large numbers. Any captured specimens had to be eliminated to prevent them from calling to their pack. "There has to be another way," Jae-ho said. "Kethra isn't dangerous. Her family is just coming to take her home." Dr. Park looked at the symbol charts they had made from Kethra's drawings. Even if you're right, how can we prove it? The commander won't listen to theories when the station is under threat. Gina had been thinking about this problem all day. As a scientist, she knew there was only one way to prove their theory. We need to show them that communication is possible. If Kithra can call to her pack and show them we're not enemies, maybe we can prevent a battle. That would require releasing her from containment, Dr. Park said. The commander will never agree to that. Then we don't ask permission, Eugene said quietly. Jeho looked at his mother with surprise. You mean break her out? I mean give her a chance to save both sides from a terrible mistake, Eugene replied. Dr. Park stared at them both. You're talking about releasing one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators, based on the theory that it wants to help us? You're wrong. Kethra could kill everyone on this level. If we're wrong, she dies in 2 hours anyway, Jeho said. And then her family attacks the station and probably destroys it. At least this way we're giving peace a chance. Looked at Kethra through the containment field. The Void Stalker was lying near the energy barrier, watching their conversation with those intelligent, star-bright eyes. How do we even know she understands what's happening? Jeho stood up and walked to the containment field. Kethra, your family is coming for you. Do you understand? The Void Stalker made an excited whistling sound and nodded her great head. The people here are scared. They think your family wants to hurt them. Can you call to your family and tell them we're friends? Kethra made a different sound, lower and more serious. She began scratching symbols into the floor rapidly. Symbols showed the station surrounded by many Void Stalkers. But instead of attacking, the symbols showed them in a protective circle. She's saying they're coming to protect, not attack, Eugene realized. Dr. Park made her decision. The containment field controls are in the security office. I have access codes, but we'll need to move fast. Once the field goes down, we'll have maybe 10 minutes before security responds. They quickly made their plan. Dr. Park would disable the containment field from the security office. Eugene would stay with Jeho to monitor Kethra's behavior. If the Void Stalker showed any signs of aggression, they would reactivate the field immediately. Are you sure about this? Dr. Park asked, as she prepared to leave for the security office. Jeho looked at Kethra one more time. The massive creature was watching him with what looked like trust and hope. I'm sure Kethra is my friend. Dr. Park walked quickly to the security office while Eugene and Jeho waited nervously. Around them, the station continued to prepare for battle. They could hear the sounds of weapons being charged and defensive systems coming online. Field deactivation in 10 seconds. Dr. Park's voice came through their communicators. The glow of the containment field began to flicker. Then, with a soft humming sound, it disappeared completely. For the first time in 6 months, nothing stood between Kethra and the outside world. The Void Stalker slowly rose to her feet. She was even more magnificent outside the containment field. Her black scales caught the light from the corridor, and her presence filled the entire space. She looked down at Jeho and Eugene, and for a moment, nobody moved. Then Kethra lowered her great head and gently touched Jeho's shoulder with her snout. The gesture was so careful and friendly that Eugene felt tears in her eyes. Hello, Kithra, Jeho said, reaching up to touch the smooth scales of her face. Are you ready to call your family? Kithra made a sound of agreement. She walked to the center of the corridor and raised her head toward the ceiling. Then she began to sing. The sound was unlike anything Eugene had ever heard. It was hauntingly beautiful, like a whale song mixed with the music of wind through canyon walls. The song seemed to echo through the station's metal walls and reach out into the darkness of space. In the command center, Commander Veltar heard the song and knew immediately what it meant. The specimen has been released, he announced with alarm. Security teams to level 7 immediately. But something strange was happening on the long-range sensors. The approaching Void Stalkers had stopped moving toward the station. Instead, they were arranging themselves in a formation that looked more like a greeting than an attack. Sir, his sensor operator said with confusion, they're not approaching an attack formation anymore. They're just waiting. On level 7. Kethra finished her song and looked at Jeho with what seemed like satisfaction. She had called to her family, and they had heard her. Now all they could do was wait and see if her message of peace had. It's been understood. Security teams were running through the corridors towards Section 9. In a few minutes, they would arrive and probably try to contain Kethra again. But Jeho believed that those few minutes might be enough to change everything. The boy who had been warned not to feed the alien dragon predator stood next to his 30-foot-tall friend and waited to see if their friendship could prevent a war. The security teams arrived at Section 9 to find something they had never expected. Kethra was standing free in the corridor, but she was not attacking anyone. Instead, the massive Void Stalker was gently nuzzling the human boy who had befriended her. "Stand down your weapons," Dr. Park called out to the security team. "Situation is under control." The team leader, a tall reptilian alien named Vextor, kept his energy rifle pointed at Kethra. "Dr. Park, you have released a dangerous predator. Step away from the creature immediately."
Nice.
"No," Jeho said firmly, placing himself between the security team and Kethra. "She's not dangerous. She's trying to help us." Commander Veltar's voice came through the communication system. "All teams report to the command center immediately. The Void Stalker pack has changed their behavior." In the command center, everyone was staring at the sensor displays with confusion. The 23 Void Stalkers had arranged themselves in a perfect circle around the station. They were not moving to attack. They were simply waiting. "I've never seen anything like this," the sensor operator reported. "They're maintaining a defensive formation, not an offensive one." Commander Veltar was trying to understand what was happening. Could they be preparing for a coordinated strike? "Sir," another operator called out, "we're receiving a communication signal. It's coming from the Void Stalker pack." "That's impossible. Void Stalkers don't have communication technology." "The signal isn't technological, sir. It's biological." "They're singing." The haunting song that filled the command center was similar to what Kethra had sung, but much more complex. It sounded like a chorus of ancient voices telling a story that spanned thousands of years. Dr. Park arrived in the command center with Yujin and Jeho. Kethra had come with them, moving carefully through the station's corridors. The sight of the massive Void Stalker in the command center caused panic among some of the crew members. But Kethra showed no signs of aggression. "Commander, I need you to listen to what we've discovered," Dr. Park said urgently. "You have released a dangerous predator on my station," Commander Veltar replied angrily. "Security teams should have contained it immediately." "She's not a predator," Jeho said. "She's trying to talk to us." Kethra walked to the center of the command center and began to sing along with the voices coming from the external speakers. Her song seemed to answer the larger chorus, and the combined music filled the room with an otherworldly beauty. "The translation computers are picking up patterns in the sounds," the communication officer reported. "It's definitely a language, but it's unlike anything in our databases." Yujin stepped forward. "Commander, we've been studying Kethra for weeks. She's not just intelligent. She's trying to tell us the history of her people." Kethra stopped singing and walked to one of the large display screens. Using her claws very carefully, she began to scratch symbols onto the metal frame around the screen. The symbols were the same ones she had drawn in her cell, but now she was creating them in sequence like a story. "She's showing us star maps," Dr. Park explained. "These symbols correspond to ancient star systems that were inhabited millions of years ago. The symbols showed a vast civilization spread across multiple galaxies. Then they showed younger species arriving and pushing the original inhabitants away. The story depicted endless wars and the gradual retreat of the Void Stalkers into the dark spaces between stars. According to this, Void Stalkers aren't invaders," Yujin said. "They're the original inhabitants of this galaxy. We've been calling them predators, but they're actually refugees." Commander Veltar studied the symbols carefully. As a military commander, he had seen star charts for thousands of different systems. These symbols showed territories that matched historical records of unexplained conflicts and abandoned colonies. "If this is true, then every time we've encountered Void Stalkers, they've been trying to reclaim their ancestral homes," he said slowly. "That's why they attack colonies in remote systems," Dr. Park added. "They're not hunting for food. They're trying to go home." The song from the Void Stalker pack outside the station began to change. It became more urgent and seemed to be asking questions. Kethra responded with her own complex song, and gradually the music became calmer. "What are they saying to each other?" Jeho asked. Kethra turned to the boy and made a series of gentle sounds. Then she walked to the communication console and very carefully pressed one of the buttons with the tip of her claw. "She's asking permission to establish formal communication," the communication officer said with amazement. "The Voidstalker pack wants to talk to us," Commander Veltar faced. The biggest decision of his career? Everything he had been taught about Voidstalkers said they were mindless monsters. But the evidence in front of him suggested they were actually an ancient and intelligent civilization. "Open the communication channel," he ordered. The song that came through the speakers was different now. It was slower and more structured, like someone trying to speak in a foreign language. Gradually, the translation computers began to identify patterns and provide rough translations. "Greetings," the translation appeared on the screen. "We come for our lost child. Do not wish harm to the small ones who have shown kindness." Commander Veltar looked at Jeho with new understanding. "They're talking about you. You've been showing kindness to their child. We seek peace," the translation continued. "Our child sings of friendship with the young one. Is friendship possible between our peoples?" The command center was completely silent. This was the first time in galactic history that Voidstalkers had attempted peaceful communication with another species. Commander Veltar activated the communication system. "This is Nexus Station 7. We receive your message. We are willing to discuss peace. Our child must return to us. She has been wounded and needs the healing songs of her family. Will you permit this?" Jeho felt sad at the thought of Kethra leaving, but he knew she needed to be with her own people. "Yes," he said, into the communication system. Kethra should go home to her family. Kethra made a sound that seemed like gratitude. She walked to Jeho and gently touched his face with her snout one more time. Then she sang a short, beautiful song that sounded like goodbye. "We will remember the kindness of the young one," came the translation from outside. "The small ones will always have the protection of the Star Singers. This is our promise." Commander Veltar opened the station's main docking bay. For the first time in galactic history, a Voidstalker pack approached a space station in peace. They came not as predators, but as a family retrieving their lost member, as Kithra prepared to leave the station. She turned back to Jeho one final time. In her star-bright eyes, the boy could see gratitude, friendship, and a promise that this was not really goodbye. The galaxy was about to learn that the most feared predators in space were actually its most ancient guardians. And it all started because one human boy chose kindness over fear. 6 months had passed since the historic first contact between humans and Void Stalkers at Nexus Station 7. The event had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy, changing everything that civilized species thought they knew about the mysterious Star Singers. Jeho Kim, now 13 years old. Kada. The word? Human space and Voidstalker territory. The station was called Harmony Station, and it served as the headquarters for the first interspecies alliance between humans and the ancient Star Singers. "The delegation from the Galactic Council will arrive in 2 hours," Dr. Haywan Park informed him. She was now the chief diplomatic officer for human Voidstalker relations. "Are you ready for your presentation?" Jeho nodded, though he still felt nervous about speaking to representatives from 47 different alien species. He had become famous throughout the galaxy as the Dragon Friend and the Peacemaker. But he was still just a teenager who had followed his curiosity and kindness. His mother, Eugene, was now the director of the new Xenological Peace Institute, where scientists from different species worked together to understand each other better. The Institute's first major success had been the complete translation of the Voidstalker language, which turned out to be one of the most complex and beautiful languages in the galaxy. "Kethra is coming today too," Yujin told her son as they prepared for the meeting. She specifically requested to be part of the delegation. Jeho smiled. He had seen his alien friend many times over the past 6 months, but each reunion was special. Kethra had healed completely and had become one of the leading voices for peace among her people, the Voidstalkers, who preferred to be called the Nethkathera, which meant singers of the star paths in their language, had shared incredible knowledge with the galaxy. Their civilization was millions of years old, and they had witnessed the rise and fall of hundreds of other species. They were natural explorers and had mapped vast regions of space that other civilizations had never seen. "The council representatives are arriving," Commander Veltar announced. The insectoid commander had become one of the strongest supporters of the Human Voidstalker Alliance after witnessing their peaceful first contact. In the main conference room, delegates from across the galaxy gathered to hear the latest reports on the new alliance. Some species were enthusiastic about the possibilities for peace and cooperation. Others remained suspicious and afraid of the Voidstalkers, despite all evidence of their peaceful intentions. Keth-Ra arrived with a group of 5 other Nethkathera, including the ancient pack leader Morthok, who had led the rescue mission too. Nexus Station 7, the site of 6 massive dragon-like creatures entering the conference room, still made some delegates nervous. But there had been no incidents of violence in all the months since first contact. "Greetings, young Peacebringer," Morthok said, in perfect galactic standard language. The Nethkathera had learned to speak other languages quickly, though they still preferred their musical speech among themselves. "Hello, Morthok," Jeho replied. "Thank you for coming to help with the presentation." The presentation began with Dr. Park, explaining the scientific discoveries that had come from studying Nethkathera technology and knowledge. Their understanding of space travel, energy systems, and biological sciences was far beyond what most species had achieved. "The Nethkathera have agreed to share their knowledge freely with all peaceful species," Dr. Park announced. "In return, they ask only for recognition of their ancient territorial claims and the right to return to their ancestral homes." Some delegates objected to this arrangement. A representative from the Kethmore Empire stood up and said, "These creatures have attacked our colonies for centuries. How can we trust them now?" Morthok responded calmly. "Your colonies were built on the sites of our ancient cities, attacked because we were trying to reclaim what was stolen from us. Now we seek peaceful solutions." Jeho was asked to explain how the alliance had begun. He told the story of his first meeting with Kethra and how their friendship had grown through simple acts of kindness and understanding. I didn't do anything special," he said to the gathered delegates. "I just treated Kethra like a friend. Instead of a monster, you show kindness to someone, they usually show kindness back." A delegate from the Zarplex Federation asked, "But how can we be sure that all Voidstalkers will honor this peaceful agreement?" Kethra spoke for the first time during the meeting. "My people have lived by the star songs for millions of years. These songs teach us about honor, wisdom, and the protection of life. When we give our word, we keep it for generations. The Nethkathera have already proven their commitment to peace," Commander Veltar added. "They have helped us establish trade routes through previously dangerous sectors of space. Pirate attacks in those regions have completely stopped." This was true. The presence of Nethkathara patrols had made space travel much safer in many parts of the galaxy. Pirates and raiders were terrified of encountering the massive star singers. Even though the Nethkathera only used force in defense of innocent travelers, "We have also assisted in rescue operations," Morthok continued. "When the colony ship Prosperity was damaged in the Nebula sector, my people reached them first and provided aid until official rescue ships arrived." Dr. Yujin presented the final part of their report. "The psychological studies are clear. Humans and Nethkathera have a unique compatibility. Both species value exploration, learning, and the protection of others. This natural friendship appears to be the foundation for a larger galactic peace." "What do you mean by galactic peace?" asked a delegate from the Thermal Systems Alliance. The Nethcathera have offered to serve as neutral mediators in conflicts between other species, Eugen explained. Their ancient wisdom and natural authority make them ideal peacekeepers. After hours of discussion, the Galactic Council voted to officially recognize the Human Nethcathera Alliance. They also agreed to respect Nethcathera territorial claims, and to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Star Singers. As the meeting ended, Jeho walked with Kethra to the observation deck where they could see both human and Nethcathera ships working together in space. "Are you happy with how things turned out?" Jeho asked his friend. "Very happy," Kethra replied in her musical voice. "My people have homes again, and the young ones will grow up knowing peace instead of war. What happens now?" "Now we explore the galaxy together," Kethra said. "There are many worlds to see and many species to meet. Some will welcome us, and others will need time to understand. But we will have patience." Jeho looked out at the stars and thought about all the adventures that lay ahead. He had started this journey as a curious boy who just wanted to see what everyone was afraid of. Now he was part of something much bigger than himself. "Kethra, do you think other species will learn to be friends like we did?" "I think friendship is the strongest force in the galaxy," she replied. "It can overcome fear, heal old wounds, and create possibilities that no one imagined." 3 years later, when hostile forces from outside the galaxy threatened human colonies, the attackers discovered why there was an unspoken rule among galactic civilizations. You don't hurt humans, because humans have friends in very high places. Pack of Nethcathara, led by Kethra herself, emerged from hyperspace to defend the human settlements. The sight of dozens of massive star singers protecting human children sent a clear message across the galaxy. The human boy who was warned not to feed the alien dragon predator had done more than make a friend. He had created an alliance that would protect both species for generations to come, and somewhere in the vast expanse of space. Jeho and Kethra continued their adventures together, proving that the greatest discoveries come not from conquering the unknown, but from befriending.